Have you thought about where the light comes from? Well, what do you know about nuclear energy? Nuclear energy originates from the splitting of uranium atoms in a process called fission. The uranium atoms collide with each other, releasing heat and neutrons in a chain reaction. This heat is used to generate steam, which powers a turbine to generate electricity. Nuclear power generates a number of radioactive byproducts that have very high levels of toxicity, so treating it should be regularized and observed by the authorities and be managed very carefully. Should I be worried? Well, in 1986, there was a nuclear disaster in Chernobyl where 31 people died. 600,000 were affected because of the radiation, and the environment was completely destroyed. If the disaster had not been contained, it wouldn't be possible to inhabit Europe anymore. Also, in 2011, there was another disaster in Fukushima, Japan, due to a tsunami that affected the nuclear plant. The environment was affected, and a lot of people were evacuated. So, which are the authorities ensuring the regularization of nuclear power? First, we have the International Atomic Energy Agency, that serves as the world's central intergovernmental forum for scientific and technological cooperation. The second is the International Nuclear Law Association, that promotes studies and the knowledge of legal problems related to the peaceful utilization of nuclear energy. In Mexico, the authority in charge is the Secretaría de Energía. This governmental organization promotes the use of nuclear energy for obtaining electricity. All matters of energy and electricity for the country are matters of the state and are public concern. The CFE is the commission in charge of the planning, generation, transmission, distribution, and commercialization of electrical energy, and is also in charge of the construction, operations, and maintenance of the national electric system of the country. Did you know that there is a nuclear plant in Mexico, and that the government wants to build another one? Nuclear energy is the cheapest way to produce light. Also, it is considered a clean energy because the chances of a nuclear disaster are extremely low. Mexico is a developing country that cannot afford to produce all its energy with alternative energies as solar or wind energy. However, there always exists a risk that nuclear disasters might happen. Which brings us to another very important question. Is it ethical to use nuclear energy? If we take into consideration the ethical decisions that the country, Mexico, must do for being able to maintain a nuclear plant working, nuclear energy is not the best idea. With the current laws, Mexico would have to do budget cuts to be able to pay for the nuclear plant. This means less money to invest in education, security, and other matters of the state. Not to mention, corruption in the country would pose a huge problem to nuclear energy because it requires transparency to guarantee the safe use of it. Another ethical dilemma is the future generations that will be suffering from the construction of nuclear plants today because of nuclear waste, its radioactivity, and possible future disasters. What are other countries doing? There are countries as the US and Canada who actually promote the use of nuclear energy because they have the technological and political capabilities to avoid a nuclear disaster. On the other hand, there are countries as Germany that want to avoid any possibility of a nuclear disaster, so they have decided to shut down all the German nuclear power plants by 2022 and use instead solar and wind energy. Which are the political and economic implications of nuclear energy? In economic terms, nuclear energy is a very good option for the country, since it is low cost and helps with the diversification of energy sources. There are two important reasons for diversifying our energy sources. The first is because of the decreasing oil reserves in Mexico, and the second is the environmental threat CO2 poses to our world. The main problem, however, lies in the great investment the building of a nuclear plant would require. But the macroeconomic returns are worth it because of the jobs it would create and the diminishing cost of energy that the country would have after the nuclear plant is finished. The average income of a nuclear plant generates is around 470 million US dollars in economic output value, including more than 40 million in total labor income. When it comes to labor, the construction of the nuclear plant would create around 3,500 jobs and would take around 10 years to be completed, so the jobs created would be semi-permanent since it's a long time for construction. The average number of jobs created permanently for the operation of a nuclear plant are 550 jobs, and these jobs pay up to 36% more than average salaries. Another 550 jobs would be created in the goods and services industry to support the nuclear plant. Regarding politics and society, the Mexican population is not very well informed about nuclear energy, and there is a great rejection towards it. The Mexican government knows this. Therefore, plans for the construction of new nuclear plants are not discussed publicly.
Preview.
So, are you interested in nuclear energy now?